Hello, my beautiful friends. Namaste. I am Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of September the 22nd, 2025, a week when the astrological caution flag is raised very high. Now, as we start the week, we're actually finishing up last week's pretty intense astrology, right? And as you're watching this, we're in the energy of this new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. Now, this eclipse that is occurring on the 21st is an eclipse that's occurring at the very end of Virgo, 29 degrees. So when the sun moves just one more degree to zero, it will move to zero Libra. We'll have our fall equinox. So this fall equinox is usually something that we look to for a time of balance, a time of preparation to go down into the quieter, darker months of the year. But this instead will be a time that may feel a little bit out of balance. And part of the reason is that as the sun moves out of where it's in an opposition argument with Saturn in the sign of Pisces, right? So we have this Virgo eclipse, and then it steps into the sign of Libra. It immediately picks up an opposition to Neptune, which is moving backwards, retrograde, through the sign of Aries, the warrior. And so we have this opposing energy between the sun in the sign of the peacemaker, of the socialite, of the partner, of the other, right? Sometimes the enemy or frenemy is also the Libran. And across the sky is Neptune in the sign of the warrior, in the sign of the child, in the sign of the independent person, or the energies of youth, enthusiasm, but also anger and assertion. So this is a little bit of tension, but it is exacerbated by the fact that we have many other outer planets flowing actually in harmony with this sun in Libra. So when the sun moves into Libra, it immediately picks up a beautiful grand trine in the sky with the other planets that are in air signs, Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in the sign of Gemini. So this big, beautiful triangle in the sky is accelerated by the minor grand trine of the outer planets, but then the tail of what we call the kite formation, the tail of the kite is the sun in the sign of Libra. Now, I've mentioned this kite formation before, brought to my attention a different interpretation by World Astrology Report astrologer Dan Waits, and an article written by Lynn Coiner, which I am going to put in the description for this video on YouTube. So yoga geeks may wish, yoga geeks, astro geeks, yoga geeks, history geeks may wish to take a look and see what she had to say about this formation and how sometimes it brings tragic world events that speed or accelerate change. And clearly, we're on an accelerated curriculum for change as we speak, with all these outer planets moving into new signs. They're all retrograding. Saturn is retrograde, Uranus is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, Pluto is retrograde. They're all moving backwards. And they're asking us to reconsider and rethink some of the changes that need to be integrated into the collective. And we're really preparing in many ways for the astrology of next year. So that kite formation picks up almost immediately and carries us through the week. And so this is something to be a little careful about, but it's not the only, unfortunately, thing to watch out for, because on the same day that the sun moves into the sign of Libra, Mars, the warrior, moves into the sign of Scorpio. Now, Mars is very empowered in Scorpio, is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. The modern ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. And when Mars steps into the sign of Scorpio, it immediately begins to square or be in a difficult angle to Pluto in Aquarius. This is a mathematical configuration that brings anger, tension, violence, manipulation. It's just not a positive flow of energy. It's very difficult. So it's something that we are going to have to keep an eye on, especially if you know your chart. You're going to want to take a look and see, where that the very early degrees of Scorpio, the very early degrees of Aquarius are. And you will need to maintain a very high vibration so that you are not resonant with violence. You are not resonant with anger. You are not falling into those traps of the lower vibrations or the lower angels of our nature. Maybe that's a poor use of the term. What's the I believe it's attributed to Lincoln, the angels of our better nature. I mean, there are also lower vibrational energies that exist, and they feed upon some of these lower vibrational things, and they really will have ample opportunity to sweep you down with it, with those energies this week. So I want you to be really good with your energy hygiene. I want you to have an affirmation or mantra moving through the mind. I want you to energetically cleanse things. I want you to be careful in every circumstance and stay deeply attuned to your intuition, so that if you need to walk down another street or not get on that flight or whatever it is, that you will be able to listen to yourself and do it. Okay. So this is in play all week because Pluto can fire both early and late. And in fact, the Celtic Cross for this week is on that Mars-Pluto energy. So do keep an eye on that, or go ahead and stay attuned for that, so that that can help you kind of guide you through this little bit of tricky energy. Now, I will say, in the positive, we've got that lovely grand trine in the sky, an air trine. But remember that too much air is not a good thing, right? So we have to balance all the thinking and talking and emoting and all of that with some nice groundedness, some nice steadiness, some nice stability. So to the extent that you can slow down a little bit, I think that's really good advice for the week. So let's go day by day, just hit the high points here. 22nd, Mars goes into Scorpio, very early morning. So you're going to be experiencing that. And then we've got the sun going into Libra, our point of balance. Although, again, balance will be elusive, but we can have the energies on our side. The currents tend to be more balanced even in the physical being at that time. So definitely a deep time for meditation. The sun opposition to Neptune occurs on the 23rd, as does its perfect trine to Uranus. So there is some help. Magical synchronicities definitely could happen. The sun trine to Pluto is exact on the 24th. This is also when Mars exactly squares Pluto. So again, Pluto, a major player in the week, which is, even in its best days, Pluto is the planet of death and regeneration. It's still not easeful energy to manage. On the 25th, still dealing with Mars, Pluto, still dealing with the kite formation. And then on the 26th, the moon will be moving from Scorpio into Sagittarius. I do hope this will bring a little bit of lightness to the end of the week. There are also two significant moon voids this week, and you'll need to adjust them for your time zone. Be sure to hop on my website. I have a blog that has the moon voids for at least 7 or 8 different time zones. Watch out for the moon void on the 23rd at 12:02 p.m. Eastern until 5 a.m. on the 24th, and then another one on the 26th from 1:44 p.m. Eastern until 5:37 p.m. Eastern. So definitely a week of caution, of really observing what your resonance is, and realize that if you get yourself entangled in something this week, because of the Plutonian nature of things, it can become repetitive. So it's a time to remember that maybe you don't just dash off that text, or maybe you don't just make that quick post, or maybe you don't rashly, drive or cut your vegetables or use power tools or any of those things. Be incredibly mindful this week in order to maximize the positive benefits that change can bring. All right, stay tuned for the Celtic Cross. I wish you a wonderful week. Hello, my friends. Namaste. Let's take a look at this Mars square to Pluto. Definitely could bring in some tension. Mars newly in Scorpio. Mars very empowered in Scorpio. Pluto loves the energy of Scorpio, but it's in Aquarius right now, and it's stimulating the masses. I really think this could be a tricky aspect. So Celtic Cross for the collective. How to handle this somewhat potentially violent and difficult aspect. If you have anything 20, 28, 29, Taurus, 28, 29, Libra, be careful. All right, my friends, first card is you, 9 of Wands. So this doesn't mean that we just sit back and do nothing, all right? We still have to keep moving forward with our projects, with our work, with our life. So yeah, and we're also like, there's some sense of accomplishment here. We can't let up. Let's just put it that way. And what's crossing us is the Lovers. There's something really good for us this week. So we've got to take advantage of it. We've got to go for it. Now, in the past, 4 of Swords, we've been kind of like waiting for the right timing, trying not to push things. Future, 7 of Wands, we need to set some boundaries. Crowning thoughts, what are we thinking? Page of Wands, well, that we need to get moving with something. Subconsciously, though, 3 of Swords, we're worried about it, so we're not 100% sure. Advice. 2 cards. 6 of Swords, moving towards a safer, better place. Page of Pentacles, needing to start something new. Outside influence. What's influencing us? King of Pentacles. Well, the money thing, the finances thing, having to take care of all of this. What do we want to happen? Empress. We want to start our new project, our new exciting whatever it is, aligning with our love, with our values. Strength. We also know that we need to be patient and gentle. This is divine feminine energy on the rise. The outcome, 4 of Wands, the right environment, the right people, the right situation. We are surrounded by the right group of people. So this is wonderful. I'm really excited to see this. Okay, so our readers fan, the Sun, be yourself. King of Swords, be rational. Tower, be adaptable. High Priestess, we are supported. So, even though there is a little bit of tricky energy here, if we set proper boundaries, we keep moving towards what we think is the better place that we can kind of plant our flag or start something new, we will be able to create this wonderful home environment, this wonderful, safe relationship environment. So this could be, new job, new people, new relationship. I mean, there's something safe about it. So I find this very encouraging for this square. It is a difficult aspect, but follow along with this and it looks like we'll be okay. Again, boundaries and new creations. Lean into the divine, sacred, feminine. All right, my friends, have a wonderful and safe week. I'll see you next week. Bye.